Hey everybody, welcome to our barn building video series. In this video series, we're going to take you step by step through the entire construction process, offering detailed insights and tips along the way. So whether you're considering a barn kit for yourself or just curious about the process, this series will give you everything you need to know. Welcome back to the Copuntrycarpenter barn series. And I'm here with Jeff, and we are at video number 4. Today we're going to talk about the stair kit, how we put the stair together, pros and cons, some of our pain points. We'll then take you upstairs and we'll talk about the tongue and groove decking and what was involved in that. And we'll finish with the window bucks that are window extensions that we use to extend for the insulation. So Jeff, why don't you bring us kind of to the point of the day we were going to install these. You know, we had the kit delivered with the rest of the wood. We had to go find it. We separated it and, you know, bring us a little bit to the point.
Yeah, so the whole stair, they call it a stair pack. I mean, it was all bundled together. It lived out in my yard for a month or so until we were ready for it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we had the second floor decking, the joists all in. We actually had the roof on. We had all that complete. And then we said, you know, we had a rainy day and said, hey, let's tackle the stairs. So we unpacked the stair kit. They had an actual stair manual, which is more of a guide. It's sort of a lot of the way their instructions are. There are guides or manuals, but they're not specific to your plans. They reference your plans to go forward. But moving back, the stairs themselves, they're barn stairs. I mean, they're very different than I think what we're used to dealing with. 2 very large stringers, 3x6s, spread out, almost 2-inch dimensional thick treads. Yep. I really like the look of it. I think it's
sturdy as hell too.
Yeah. It definitely gives it a really nice look. But we definitely struggled a little bit when we unpacked this. The instructions are good, but what we found was, like everything in the kit, a lot of it is pre-cut or designed to sort of go together. So some dimensions may or may not be in the blueprints.
Right.
And for somebody like you who's used to just cutting your own stringers, you know how to measure your length and your draw and where you need things to land, and then you cut them appropriately so the treads are and the rise and the runs are all even. We found ourselves in a sort of a pickle where we didn't have that.
Yeah, well, I think some of our pain points were we think that our floor is maybe an inch lower than maybe where Country Carpenters wanted it to be. So because they gave us a rise measurement, we were, I don't know, just under an inch bigger than that. And I laid out, you know, I got my framing square out my dogs, and I laid out, you know, the rise and the run and the treads, and I played with that. And I struggled to get the layout to work just right. And a
lot of that was because we have a platform. We have a destination of return, and we were not given the height of this platform.
There was no height of the platform.
We had to work backwards from it, and we burned a lot of time trying to kind of mess with that and trying to figure it out. Because these stringers are sort of atypical, I think, what we see. They're 3x6s, and then they have basically these blocks, triangles screwed in on them.
Yeah. You know, so you know, it's funny, Jeff. I think because everything is pre-cut and it's a kit, it is designed to just kind of go together for the most part, right? But first of all, we were thinking this is going to be used as an art studio up here, and we wanted the stairs to be consistent rise, safe. And we wanted it to pass code because we have a permit pulled, and you know the inspector's tough in this area. So we struggled with that because as the kit, it wasn't going to do that. So what we ended up doing is we just moved a couple of the triangles a little bit to get what we wanted. What I think a lot of people will do with this kit is, and it's heavy stuff, but I think they'll just, you know, they'll build their platform, they'll take their stringer and they'll hold it up and they'll mark it. And kind of just say, okay, are you good down there? You good up here? And they'll figure it out and they'll mark it and cut it and go for it. And for a barn, I'm sure that's fine. We were looking more for residential code requirements, and we got it. We nailed it, but it took some headwork.
I have elderly people going up and down, or little kids. I mean, I really wanted our stair treads to be, you know, exact. You know, I want to have another tripping point.
So that was probably the only pain point for us that, you know, annoyed us the most. Other than that, though, fit, finish, the cuts, the material, the quality was really great. I really enjoyed, they give you these, I guess you'd call them rails, balusters, right? The rails They're 5/4, right, or eight,
Yeah, I think they're 5/4.
They're well over, a little bit over an inch. You know, and they tell you to toenail them. We ended up using a Craig jig, and we pocket screwed them, which was way more secure. We used longer screws than pocket screws. We used decking screws. And not only is it just, I think it's better than toenailing with nails, because you don't get something you catch your clothing on. It just looks better, and I think it's more secure. We changed the spacing a little bit. We went with under 4-inch spacing for our code. We raised the height a little bit. We liked the distance of the dual post to the railing. We played with that for looks. And then the railing, the handrail they give you in the kit, it's just a square stock, but it's graspable. And they give you the hardware, and it's rock solid. We mitered it in, and we put, I think I used 4-inch GRKs to tie it in.
Yep.
But really, really nice system.
Yeah, we also added, everything in the kit calls for nails. It's like 100% nailing through everything.
Yeah.
We added timber locks in a lot of the places where we had our hanger, to put to the stringers, sort of more traditional. Oh, I shouldn't say traditional. What we're used to actually doing.
Right.
But we know it's to code, it's secure, it's going to do it, and I don't mind the look of having a couple timber locks kind of hang out.
No, neither do I. It kind of looks industrial, barnish. We did hangers in the deck, corner brackets, angle brackets. Did we use the hangers on the stringers too, or we timber locked from behind?
It has like a built-in sort of hanger in there, but
Yeah.
we did. We used some timber locks to tie in the newel posts.
And we added additional legs too on the back and things. So it's really, I would say it's probably a lot stronger than the plans called for. And I think the plans itself are really just kind of like a guide.
Yeah, absolutely.
I lost my voice from that. You either swallowed a bug or yeah.
There's that mosquito buzzing
Let's
around.
head upstairs and talk a little bit about the second floor decking.
Yeah.
So here we are on the second floor deck. And Jeff, what are these? Are these 1x8 deck boards?
They're I think they end up being like 1x7. They're sort
1x7?
of and they're all tongue and groove.
So so they probably could call it a 1x8 with the tongue and all that, but it's so it's a tongue and groove board. We put them in. They were really it was kind of fun to put in, and we just started on one end, went all the way to the other. It's a really, really good look. It's face nailed, no squeaks, which I was
Not
expecting.
yet.
Not yet, anyway. Yeah, but so we talk about sequencing a little bit and how we did things. We had to wait until we poured the concrete slab to do the stairs. Right. But once that slab was in, we were like, let's get the stairs in, because having a deck up here, we had plywood up here before the decking was installed, but having a deck up here helped you build this barn in so many ways, right? Getting that massive elliptical window in, passing it through from the inside to the staging, being able to pass tools and materials out the window.
Putting the siding on from the outside, having something.
Yeah, leaning out the window even and using, so this was kind of, in our opinion, critical to the sequence for us. But I think you had mentioned Country Carpenter said this would have went on right away.
They do a recommendation that they actually recommend you having your slab poured before day one, which
really,
yes, which a lot of guys in our area like to do it covered, that way don't have to worry about rain. So we did not. They recommend having the slab in, and then you can get the decking on immediately. Again, I wanted to have a roof on, so I didn't get this damaged. But that's, if you're able to go, and maybe you have 4 or 5 days and you got a big enough crew that you can do that, go for it. We did not. No. We're kind of picking away at it. So we wanted to get the roof on. Once we had the stairs in, though, I was thinking that we would get some siding on, but then I have kids and dogs, and I had a one-way trip up to a 12-foot drop. So I was like, all right, we're doing the decking immediately.
For the decking. I guess it does make sense if you had the slab in to go forward. We, at least the way I operate is I usually want the roof on at least. You want to kind of weather type for the slab. You don't want raindrops or leaves falling in your slab. So we did it our way. It worked. A little out of sequencing, but the boards itself, they are, it's white pine. They are a naughty white pine. They're good looking, tongue and groove. They fit together pretty well. We had to, futz with some of them like any tongue and groove product.
Yeah, there was different lengths. I think there was like 12-foot lengths, 14-foot lengths, 16-foot lengths.
Yeah.
And so we had, I think, 3 of us here when we were doing it. We were sequencing. I think you were downstairs, kind of handing us up, different ones. And we were working from, one side, the front of the barn, to the back, staggering our joints. We were trying to get that to work.
And the layout they gave us worked on the joint layout. So again, the kit process worked, right? The 10, 12, 14, 16, they all landed on a big joist beam.
These joists are 4x7s that are 2 feet on center, so a little different. So that's why we're talking about 2 foot.
You don't notice it though. I will say, so I liked that. So what I was doing downstairs on the saw was I was squaring the ends, stacking the 8, 10, 12, 14, 16s in piles, and they were grabbing them, and they were, so it's hard to tell when you look at this floor, but it does 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 8, 10, 12, so we staggered. And then towards the end, we had to finish with what we had. We finished with all full lengths, I believe, over here. My only pain point was my own frustrations, end of the day, or, it was a heat wave when we were doing a lot of this, just dizzy or delirious, was getting the boards to fit, as a finished carpenter, getting them to fit on these angles, these angle braces that there's, how many are there? 1, 2, there's 4 of them.
4 exposed.
It's frustrating because you can get it to fit right when you hold it there, but to try to get it to tongue and groove and index in, and that it's just geometry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure these guys who do it all the time, they have their own sequence on how to do these things, and we kind of had to work backwards from it. Yeah. You mentioned the heat. I mean, there was the pain point for me, I think, because I was up here fitting them all. We were, these were hot, and pretty much new boards. So we wanted to get these as tight as absolutely possible. I understand that, they're in the winter, the gap might grow.
And contraction.
So in the summer, you really want to get everything tight. Some of these, these are all, the tongue and the grooves may or may not be 1/8 of an inch off or something like that. So we had to devise our own sort of levers and so forth to, with 1 or 2 people on these 16-foot boards working up in the air, we had to really use some leverage to get these. At one point, I think we had 2 of us sitting down and putting our feet on it. We had to get a little creative with it.
One of the best levers, I think, was just would screw a block of wood to a joist and just take a 2x4 and use that as a fulcrum. And we had a scrap piece with a tongue on it, a groove on it, so you didn't damage the tongue, and we would just lever it into place. And you'd work it along the way. Overall, though, I mean, the floor, it didn't really open up. It looks great. It's good looking. I think, we've talked about after construction, before finishing, what could we do with this floor? I don't think I would sand it like a hardwood floor, but I do think I would screen it. Kind of like what they do in between coats of polyurethane. I think I would take a screener, or maybe the screeners can do sanding grits. They probably can, and do something really high grit just to take the mill glaze off the floor. And what I mean by the mill glaze, when you run these things through the planer, they leave, like high-speed metal leaves a glaze on it. Sometimes it leaves machine marks. What I want to do is I want to remove the glaze, the scuff marks, the dirt, the scratch, the light scratches, just to clean it. And then maybe do a coat of, like a clear coat of something.
Some type of oil or something.
Some type of oil, or maybe even a poly, you could do it. It's going to be a conditioned space. So pretty nice look. Let's take the guys, let's go outside real quick and talk about the window bucks, because there were certain details we had to do for our weather resistant barrier to get it to fit in line with the windows and to fit the windows. So let's go outside real quick. We'll show you the windows. Because that led us to the next stage of insulating and siding, because that's where we are now this week. Before we go outside and look at those window bucks, I actually just wanted to point something out. If you were watching us talk a minute ago, you might be wondering, what is this? Is that a window? Why is that open like that? This is actually going to become siding. So if you look over here, you see the siding all around this window. So that's the first layer of our siding, and that's what you see from the inside of the building. So this is the highest point. It's a lower backyard. So we decided that we're going to keep this dormer as its standalone project. We're going to side it, window bucks, put the window bucks on, insulate it, do everything we need to do all as one project, because we really wanted the staging here for safety and ease of work. Right now we have staging on either end of the gable end of the building, and it's being used, and we're going to use it for the siding this week. So once we're done with that, we can then stage and work on this dormer as a standalone. But this whole triangle and the other side of the triangle will all be filled in. This is just a nailer. It'll all be filled in with vertical 1x8, 1x10 siding boards and then windows. So I just wanted to explain this in case you were wondering, what is that triangular thing behind those guys? WRB. Okay, everybody, we're now outside, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the window bucks, or Another word for window bucks is just nailing, extensions, extension jambs, nailing. If you look, we have the sill of the building that extends out, and the windows have wood around them. They've been extended out with window bucks, as well as the doors and so forth. And that's to account for the 3-inch insulation, the horizontal nailing board, and then the external vertical boards will cover all of this, and they will become our nailers going all up. So Jeff, what are the thicknesses of these window bucks? Because you were the ones cutting them.
Yeah, it was like 5 and like 5/16, something like that.
That's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty big.
Yeah, they recommend, in certain actually spots, they actually recommend, I'm sorry, no, the window bucks are 4.5 inches.
4.5.
Because the bucks actually go on the
Siding.
outside of the siding.
That's
so,
right.
So that's when you include the width of the siding, that's what that ends up being. So
All right, so let's back
PT
up
sills
for a
were
sec.
that, yeah.
So you had to do, the PT sills went on first, and they
Right.
were like 5 and something.
That was that 5 and 5/16 measurement, because that goes directly into the existing sill, PT sill.
Then you put your first layer, so we put our first layer of siding on, that's right.
Yep.
And they recommend that.
So they recommend the initial layer of siding. They say to actually use, you can use triple stack 2x material, 1.5, 1.5,
Right.
1.5 to get yourself to 4.5. We ended up wanting to save a little bit material. We had a lot of 2x10s, so we ended up ripping those down 4.5. I was able to get two long rips out of each one, and we used 4.5 inches, boxed them out, timber locks every foot or so.
Well, not only that, it was less waste, right? I mean, we're always thinking about less waste for the dumpster or the burn pile, but also less thermal bridging.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Because if we had done, I don't know, 2x4s, it would have been 3.5 inches instead of 1.5. And I mean, I think it probably matters, but we just thought that would be a better approach. Since we were insulating, let's try to reduce some of that thermal bridging.
Right.
We didn't go crazy on thermal bridging, but and also too, if we had gone wider, 2x4s on their flat, we would have had to go wider flashing or use more flashing, because the flashing wouldn't have wrapped all the way over onto the weather resistant barrier, which is our insulation. And as we're going to talk about in the next video, we're going to talk about this RMAX thermosheet as our weather resistant barrier. It's got this foil on it, 3 inches thick,
Yep.
right? Our value is at 20?
20, yeah, just a little bit higher than 20, I guess.
Probably R21, because
Yeah,
that's like a 2x6 fiberglass wall, right? So, so this is what we'll talk about in the next video. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to kind of get nerdy on this installation. Talk a little bit about the science,
Yeah, we're going to dedicate a whole section.
water management, rain screen, and then we'll probably finish that video with the vertical siding, the finished layer of siding on it. So, I think it'll be really interesting. Is there anything else you want to mention? How did you secure these bucks? Were they
were timber locks.
Timber locks,
yeah,
right?
but I pre-drilled them. I did them piece at a time, and I carried out the existing framing. Because the big, large rough sawn girts was really your window frame.
Yeah.
And this was, but it did. You can play with it a little bit to kind of maybe something wasn't perfectly plumb, square, level. You have a little bit of a chance to sort of make that up, on the window. That's pretty much the only thing we really found.
One thing I will mention before we end the video is, maybe we talk about more on the installation video, is the installation of these windows. So we went with an Anderson, these are 400 series window.
Yeah, that's a good point. I went with aftermarket
Yeah.
windows. This kit actually will deliver with. It's meant to come with their own
single
windows.
pane
Yeah,
glass.
but they're old single pane, and when you start to insulate, you really want to get some insulated windows.
One thing that impressed me as a carpenter, though, is when we built these walls, these I don't want to call it a stud wall, it's all timbered, they recommended that you use a spacer bar, right? So we use a spacer at certain heights. And, we put the spacer on the sill, boom, that's where your horizontal went. Space, space, nail it. Space, space, nail it. And we use these spacers, so there was no tape measure. Once you had your spacer bars, everything went off. We didn't even use levels. We just used the spacer bar. So, and I was super skeptical when we came time to put these windows in. I want to say, out of all the windows we did, we maybe shimmed 3.
Right.
A little bit, just with a little bit of shimming on one end. They were pretty spot on. And I mean, so impressive. I guess what I'm trying to impress upon is the kit works. It goes together pretty darn well. You do have to massage it a little bit. And sometimes it's confusing because I don't think they put all the details in. And they probably don't put all the details in because their guys are probably doing it and they know this stuff.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean,
And the whole insulation layers and kits is another add-on. It's another,
Right.
like, there's a layer of
Accessory
detail and so
add-on.
forth. I mean, this is, we're going from traditional barns to try to make something a little more modern.
Yep. So we just covered the stairs, the second floor deck, the window box. Next video, we're going to talk about the weather-resistant barrier, which is our RMAX thermal sheath, how we detailed it, how we flashed it, rain screen. We're going to talk about a couple of different securing methods, whether it's waterproof buttons or taping buttons or gooping them with that waterproof stuff,
yeah.
self-sealing. And then we'll talk about the final layer of siding. So we'll see you at the next video. Take care, everybody.